like thousands of Kenyans came here on a diversity visa program commonly known as the green card.
Well, my name is Peter Ndungu. I've been to this country now for 16 years. I came into this country in February 2002. Back in Kenya, I grew up in Murang'a. I went to school in a village called Kiranga. And from there I go to a neighborhood secondary called Naro Secondary School. I proceeded to Ukambani, a school called Mumbuni High School for my A-levels. Then I went to, in 1987, I went to University of Nairobi. I graduated in 1990 with a Bachelor's of Commerce degree in marketing. And from there, I just started the normal life in Nairobi, working here and there in sales department, selling computers. And after working for about from 1990 to 1998, I went into small business. It's called Juakali there. I was what is called a small business. I was a tenderpreneur, that kind of a business whereby you carry briefings around selling stuff. Then, by then, 1998, I opened a small office in KICC Nairobi, where I stayed up to 2002 when I got a green card and moved to the US.
But unlike many others who migrated here but now find life in this foreign land a steep slope to climb, Mr. Ndungu came with a plan, a vision, and an accompanying strong sense of patience and endurance.
When I came to this country, my mind was very clear. Because there's nothing important in life like time. Having time for yourself, and if you have the time, then you have the money. I knew very well the only two things which could have given me time was business or teaching. When I considered teaching, I felt that for me to be able to earn reasonable money, I had to go back to school, get my master's, get my PhD, and probably apply to a certain big universities and become a professor somewhere. That's where I would have made money. I considered the time it's going to take me to get to that part. And I felt that I didn't want to go that path. It could have taken me at least 7 to 10 years to be able to get there. And it was not guaranteed that if you go there, it's professorship and all that. And I didn't have any other choice but to look for something else to do business.
And so even at this point, when everyone knows that he is one of the most successful Kenyans living in the US, whose shipping business is worth millions, Mr. Ndungu is reluctant to say his worth on camera. Another testament to the man's humility and appreciation of humble beginnings.
To be honest with you, I landed into shipping by an accident. Because initially what happened, back in 2005, when I came here, I was working with a uniform company. I was distributing uniforms around. As I was distributing in a town called Abington, I passed in a warehouse where there was a lot of computers. And back in Kenya, for those 8 years, I was selling computers. So what I did, I ran to that warehouse. I asked whether I can buy the computers, and they told me they can sell computers. So from there is when I now started looking for money. Luckily enough, those days banks were very generous with the money. They gave me some money. And the first thing I did was to look for where to get a container. Bought a container, sent to Kenya. Again, when I sent to Kenya, I had another problem because I was not established back in Kenya. And I had to work with a friend to sell the computers for. But you know what happens again when you work with somebody back there and you are far away, controls become very big. I ended up losing like 2 loads of computers, 2 containers of computers, about 5 million shillings. That's when one time, another thing happened as an accident, because when I went to do the audit with my friend to see how the computers are doing, according to the books, there were so many computers in the warehouse, but when you go physically, there was nothing. So the only other option I had was to control my business on both ends. And I remember that time, that was back in 2006, when I realized the partner who was working with me was diverting the money to other means. I had to open my own business, my office. And the most amazing thing that time, I remember very well, it took me 1 week to get an office, to sign a lease, and to open a business.
Mr. Ndungu is the founder and director of Titan Impex, a limited liability company registered in the state of New Jersey to do import-export services. The company has an affiliate office under the same name, Titan Impex Kenya Limited, based on 7th floor, St. Eli's House, Wabera Street in Nairobi. The Nairobi office handles all logistics once the packages arrive in Kenya.
Okay, my name is John. I am working with Titan Shipping Company. We normally import goods from US. We bring the household for the people who stay in the US and they want to bring them back to Kenya, or else they want to furnish their houses, their stuff, they want to bring them in Kenya.
And the name Titan, I remember that time when I was searching for business and I was looking for a business name. Somewhere in school, a teacher had told us when we were doing marketing is, if you want to have a name with an impact, the name should be at least between 5 and 8 letters. And it has to reflect something what you want. If you want something big, you have to put that in the name you're going to pick. So one time I was driving along the road, I saw a vehicle behind me. I think it's a Nissan pickup truck with the name Titan. And the name, my mind told me, that's the name we are going for. That's how I picked that name, Titan. The name Impex is import-export. And I knew I was going to the business of importing. Then I was importing and exporting computers. So the name Impex, that's how it came in.
But Mr. Ndungu's current successes do not mean that it has been smooth sailing for him. Like many immigrants to the US, especially those from Africa, establishing a business was rough in the beginning.
The biggest problem with starting a business here is the knowledge, the know-how of the country. Everything is new once you come to this country. And the communities here, there are very few even people who are here who literally do these businesses. The locals and the immigrants, there are very few people who dare to go into the business because the whole economy is dominated by extremely big companies. And because of that, people tend to think in their mind that to be in business you have to be big. They are forgetting that there are some areas here in this country where there are very big opportunities, especially in areas which are service-based. If you say in America you sell a product, a big problem. Because with the big companies, you can't take that product, make a mass production, and secure the business. But these big corporations will never be able to come into the market and give that simple service. The auto repair shops, the cleaning services, security services, they won't be able to do that in a big way. And I tell people, if you want to go into business in America, you have to look for a service-based business. Even if it's lawn care, cleaning. But if you do it, the good thing about this country, the economy, the people have the living standard is reasonably very high. You cannot lack your customer, and there is no way you do business and you do it the right way. Within a year or so, you fail to break even.
And scientific survey has shown that an overwhelming majority of Kenyans who live and work in the US prefer a bi-weekly paycheck that comes out of formal employment. Many have tried it in businesses and failed, and when you ask them, they will say that it's generally hard to do business in America because of stringent laws and regulations and very small profit margins, among other challenges.
The only other thing I say, the biggest disadvantage of this country is employability. Because business has problems. And the moment you encounter problems in whatever business you're doing, so many people give up and they jump back to employment. I would give you an example. About 2008, there was a boom of pickups where people were putting trailers in the back and moving cars around. I can count 10, 15 people who are into that business. And after 1 year or 2 years, all these people had jumped back to employment. When they came and found those difficulties. But still, in the same business, you see 2 or 3 people who are still thriving it. Because they stayed longer enough to learn the problems, tackle the problems, and move on. So I always say the biggest problem in this country with business, or people who intend to start business, is there is always an alternative when you fail. And that is costing a lot of people here opportunities to do business and all that.
The shipping industry, especially among Kenyans in the US, has been a sector fraught with complaints of unfulfilled promises, missed deadlines, and unreliable shipping companies.
There are people who are doing this business, but they are doing it in a very unprofessional way. Because the biggest problem with the people who are selling those things is someone says he's putting together a container, then they pick up a stuff. By the time they fill up a container, it will take 6 months for that product to get to Kenya. I had one case, a very pathetic case. Somebody who had sent baby stuff, and the baby was being born. By the time the stuff got there, the baby was 6 months old. So you can imagine somebody had bought stuff for a baby before the baby was born, only for the stuff to get there when the baby is 6 months.
The question then is, how has Mr. Ndungu managed to keep his clients happy?
I was lucky because of my business doing the computer and carrying people's stuff. I was able to deliver every month. And because of the distance here, from here to Mombasa, we don't have direct ship. A ship just like the airline has to pass through somewhere in Europe or Dubai for it to go to Mombasa. So normally it takes between 45 to 60 days to get to the port, then to go through the custom clearance another 2 weeks. So about 2 months we have delivered the stuff.
Normally in a month we have a minimum of 2 containers for 40 feet each. Yeah, normally it's 40 containers per month.
And from your experience in all these containers, what is it that they mostly contained in those containers?
In fact, they are the oldie stuff, the furnitures, houses, which they are normally things they bring, they want to furnish their houses. So most of them they import the goods from US.
It is safe to say that Mr. Ndungu has not only changed the game in this shipping industry with huge potential, he is also getting ready to give big businesses like eBay, Amazon.com a run for their money.
Let me give you an example. For instance, you have a wedding dress or a wedding suit, which you need to be in Kenya within 2 to 3 weeks. We are able to do that. And all what you need to do, if you're local, you just come and pick up the stuff. You come prepare it, ship it by air. When it gets to Nairobi, we create, we put it in our office. Or with an arrangement with you, we can deliver that item to the door. Again, you don't even have to be in US to do that. Even if you're in Kenya, all what you need to do, there are 2 ways of doing it. If there's something you really want here, and like something you want to buy from eBay, Amazon.com, message, you only need to buy that stuff, and instead of shipping it direct to Kenya, because most of these big stores, they don't do that, you use our address, you ship it to us, you only need to put your name there, and probably after you execute your purchase, you send us an email that look out on this item. Then when it gets to us, we're going to reach out to you to tell you this is the size of the package, it's going to cost this, it's going to take you 2 to 3 weeks to get there, then from there you send it to you. In fact, so many repeat customers right now are doing that. What I think is very important, especially to the advice I'll give to America, the Kenyans in the US. I've seen people come to me, I want to ship my own container. Which is easy. It's only a matter of calling up, making a phone call, you get a container is brought, and you fill up the stuff and you take it there. But so many people are not aware of what happens at our port. You end up getting there, you don't even have the right document, you don't have the right paperwork. By the time you sort out those people, and some of those companies, they take time, they take their sweet time to process simple things like bill of lading and all that, or to sort out a small problem with the document. because they know their money is on the other side of the storage. So the Kenyans in the US, or anywhere in the diaspora, they need to know exactly the requirement when the shipment gets to Mombasa.